It was a thing that it just renders into your soul that you don't remember such incidents, but it was a good time. But
could you talk with us about following these missions to Rabaul and Yak? What the thrust was in the fall of '44?
Jim, I wasn't in the squadron at that time. I graduated and got my wings in June of 1944, and I joined the 307th 424th in the last part of November of '44.
Okay.
So it was over with by the time I got there.
Right. But the missions, the targets for you at that time, it sounded like it largely moved from Rabaul and Yak to where were you mostly flying?
Flying through the over towards Borneo and down on the way to Balikpapan, and also going up the string of islands in the Philippines.
Okay. Hopefully Ben's going to join us soon. So we'll take just a brief break right now.
Yeah, I do.
When Jim asked me to do this a couple of days before we came over here, and I didn't have too much time to prepare, and I've been working on my speech for quite a while. And first of all, it was 3/4 of an hour, and then I cut it down to a half hour. Well, then he told me today, he says, well, within 14 minutes, I'm going to give you a little signal with my hand, and that's the time for you to get ready to stop, because you only got 15 minutes. Right, exactly, that's what he was going to do. But the longer I'm waiting here just for a minute, I'm going to entertain you a little. I'm going to sing you a little song. Yeah. No, I just wanted to tell you, when we were flying up what we call the slots, up to Guadalcanal, New Georgia, the islands up through there, we did an awful lot of night flying. When we started hitting Rabaul at first, it was very, very well fortified. And we did a lot of night flying. And there I was sitting up to that little turret way out in front of that airplane, and I'm looking up and, oh, gee, there's a plane over there. There's a plane over there. Well, they were stars. And, you know, you're just sitting there, and there's no lights on the planes, and but anyhow, then we got through that one, and then we started hitting the truck, and that was just the same way. Those were night missions. And they were long missions, and, oh well, we made it. So our crew was very, very lucky. We started out as a crew together, and we ended up as a crew together. There was no entries. We had a brand new airplane given to us when we left Lincoln, Nebraska, and took it over there and flew it for all our missions, and we kept the same plane, which was unusual because a lot of crews went over and the airplane was taken away from them and they were given an old junker, but we kept our same plane, and except for the last few missions where pilots had quit flying on, and we all stuck together, and we were very, very lucky. And when we got done with our plane flying, another crew took it over. They took off for a mission, come back, and made a crash landing, and that ended our brand new B-24D. Well, anyhow, when we picked up, we're not ready yet, so I'll keep on going. So I started out as a tail gunner. All the time I was in training here in the United States, I was a tail gunner. And we didn't have any nose gunner in our plane, so we flew over to Hickam Field in Hawaii. We stayed there 18 days, where they took the turret out of the tail. It was a consolidated turret, and they put it in the nose, so then I became the nose gunner. So all the time I was training, I was the tail gunner, and then I got in combat. That was new. there I was. But we didn't fly that high like what they did over in Europe, and it wasn't as cold. Over in Europe, they had real heavy heated flying suits, and it was real cold, below zero over there. But we didn't have that kind of weather. All thing we wore, they were heated coveralls. They had wires in them, and you plugged it into the airplane, and that kept us warm. And so it wasn't really that bad. If anything over 10,000 feet, we had to go into oxygen. And one of these things compared to the Pacific is to the over in Europe. Over in Europe, if you got shot down, your chances of surviving was very, very good. Either you bailed out or crashed, and the Germans would pick you up and you'd be prisoner of war. Well, over in the Pacific, it didn't work that way. If you bailed out, chances are the chaps would strafe you and kill you, or else if you hit the water, your chances of surviving in the water was very, very slim. So, anybody got any questions? That guy way in the back, what do you got your hand up for? I'm only kidding.
My father
There he
was
comes.
home and said he had changed his other underwear in 9 days, and that was really bothering him.
No apology necessary. Meet your call, we got to answer.
I apologize, ladies. I hope it's worth this time that I go. I have to go. I hope it's just like that.
All right, going to introduce again Bombardier Ben Baldock.
Did you finish? I'll have to stand. Stand it. But the light is too much.
Well, why don't you just move?
Well, I'll sit.
The light's on the side.
I think it's fine. You have seated. That is better. All right, thank you. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. I'm all excited.
There it goes.
My name is Mr. Waldo.
Use the microphone.
I was in the
Use the
Man,
mic.
use the microphone.
I was in the Army Air Corps. I was in the Southwest Pacific, like the rest of the gentlemen in 307. I had 44 missions. Enjoyed every one of them, of course. I got home in one piece, so that was very, very good. I had a couple of missions that I might mention, I guess. Usually when we bombed a target, we did this with a map. Intelligence had already filmed the area to hit and where it was to go to hit. And so we went in that manner, and we had a photograph of the area. When we got to the target, we recognized what it was. And so we just killed the target with our bomb most time. But there was one time, instead of using an ordinary map, we went to the islands of Sarapan, Borneo, and my job as lead bombardier of the first plane in the squadron was to pick out the target and hit. This was unusual. This target
opposing line on our side was the Australians. The Australian soldiers were trying to root the Japanese out of this mountain of granite or rock. They had been there for 5 or 6 years before they started the war and dug all these caverns, caves, holes, and this is where they were hid out, and the Australians couldn't get them to move any farther, so we bombed them. The way we did this was, before we approached the target, we had radio contact with the superintendent of the Australian troops, and our pilots had radio contact with the gentleman on the ground to tell us where he wanted us to drop the bombs, not on him, but ahead of their line, and blow the Japs out. We did this with 1 or 2 missions with 500